See, and this is where I go back to the unwritten rules that we were talking about with Tatis. Evan Longoria was hit earlier in the game.
Come up a little bit when he strides. So when he strides and then he throws in his rotation, and then he's got this little bit of space under his back heel, okay? So what we've got to do is
continuing to turn and slowing himself down. He does a great job here of slamming on
top.
All right, so this is the hardest variation of...
Hey guys, I'm Dowdy with Baseball Rebellion. I'm coming at you with our first episode of BR Weekly. It's going to be a weekly content series we're going to bring to you guys. I'm going to sit down with one of our instructors each week. We're going to go through what's going on in the building, what's going on in the baseball world, our newest content, our newest drills. We're going to bring you everything that you normally see from us in week to week, all on Wednesday nights at 7. So let's get into our first episode. Hey guys, we're here for our first episode. I'm here with Eric for this week, and we're going to be breaking down some stuff for you. Eric, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, first off, I'm really excited to be the first guest. Very thankful for Dowdy and all he's done in his couple of months here, taking this endeavor on and trying to create some content. I'm really looking forward to it. One, for us to get more clear information to you guys to digest on the internet, on social media, whatever it is. Hope you guys enjoy it. So a little bit about myself. I've been at Baseball Rebellion for 3 years. I played at East Carolina University from 2014 to 2017. Kind of a utility guy. Loved every second of it. Played on some really good teams. But love working at Baseball Rebellion. One thing it does is the past 3 years have given me an opportunity to grow as an instructor and as a teacher, but also work with so many different personalities and age groups, from 6 years old all the way up to some senior league players. So wide skill level, wide range of ages, and how they understand information. So very thankful to be your first guest.
All right, yeah, we're glad to have you. This week, we're going to be breaking down basically some questions that we've received online. We've got two really good ones that we got. We're going to be talking about Fernando Tatis Jr. I'm sure everybody's seen that. We've all heard plenty about it. We're going to talk about Mike Trout and Sean Anderson. You may or may not be familiar with what happened there, but we're going to address it. And then we're going to break down a recruit. That's one thing we're going to do every week. We're going to come at you with an amateur recruit. This week's he's a high school player in Georgia, and we're basically going to break down his swing and talk about what he brings to the table. And then we're going to look at Eric's week and what he's done and what he's looking forward to. So one of the questions we got this week came from a drill video that was between Chaz and Ryan Ogren. He's a minor league player that trains here. And the question was, you guys used to teach where the back foot would come off the ground over a board while using the Rebels rack. So we're going to show you this video, and Eric's going to explain.
Hey guys, what's up? Chaz Pivot here from Baseball Rebellion. I got Ryan Ogren with me. He's with the Baltimore Orioles, and we were working a lot on his heel plant in his back foot last time. Okay, so one of the things he does, go ahead and get in your stance, bud, is sometimes his K-vest looks great, but his back foot, well, his back heel will start to come up a little bit when he strides. So go ahead and he strides, and then he throws in his rotation, and then he's got this little bit of space under his back heel, okay? So what we've got to do instead is we had to figure out how to get him to feel his weight in his heel. So what we did was I had him go ahead and get your stance, bud. Now this is really important. I'm gonna have him lift his toes, but he can't shift his knees back. So stay bent here, now just lift your toes. So you're only using this muscle right here in the front of your leg, and then he's gonna take some regular swings that way. And Eric's gonna come over here and get a side view real quick. So you see that back toe is up off the ground just slightly right there. And then he's able to stay through his heel even better. Eric just risked his life for this video, so I hope you guys really like it. So let's go through one more time. Let's look at your back foot really quick. So regular stance, go ahead and do your stride. And we really want to keep this heel planted as long as we can. The hips start to turn, and the hips rip this heel off the ground. He's not activating his calf or his quad. He's staying in his posterior chain, and that's what we want to do to get the most power out of our swing.
So as you saw in the video, Ryan and Chaz going over some things in the back heel and when the back heel should come up during the swing. First off, shout out to Ryan. Thanks for letting us make content and helping us out there. But it's a really good drill video, and one that I like to use with my hitters who get front side dominant and start to pull their front shoulder. That usually comes from the stability of the back leg being lost. So if I dive into the question itself of, you guys used to teach the back foot moving, is that still a thing? That's absolutely still a thing. And I would say this is probably one of the most discussed topics we have in-house between instructors. So it's a really good way to start our weekly segments with this question. But one thing's for sure, the back foot moving allows more mass to be transferred, so you're able to hit the ball harder. However, if the back foot is moved because it's pushing off the ground and your back foot is physically pushing off, well, your head's going to come forward, your spine angle is going to come forward, and we're going to do one of two things. We're going to push the bat down with us and cut the bottom of the ball, or we're going to leave the bat behind and drag it behind. So neither of those two are good things. So in my opinion, I'd rather the back foot stay where it is and hold head positioning than push our head forward. However, with some athletes, you have time to make these adjustments, and the most optimal swing mechanics is for the back foot to be pulled off the ground by the rotation of the core and the pelvis and everything from the middle that's rotating. If those things rotate properly in sequence and fast enough, you'll see the back heel actually peel up and roll in, similar to how my hand is moving there. You don't want to see a ton of weight get to the ball of the foot or the toes of the foot and have the heel come up. That's one sign that can lead to you pushing off your back foot. The guy that sticks out to me is Mike Trout. If you watch him move and make that first move in a rotation, the back foot's going to peel in before it starts to turn. Now his back foot moves. Again, at 230, 240 pounds, if you're rotating fast, it's going to move. Everybody can look at Bryce Harper, Frank Thomas. There's plenty of examples of the foot moving, just like there's examples of the foot not moving. And if you're looking for optimal, you want to make sure the back foot is rolling in and being peeled off the ground by the rotation of the core, not artificially pushing off the ball of the foot just for the sake of moving.
So our second question comes from another video from Chaz. He talked about basically an ideal bat path in your swing. It's basically like a Nike Swoosh, and as the ball comes in at a downward angle from the pitcher, he basically explains how pop-ups can happen and it not necessarily be a bad swing. So a question that came with it was basically that somebody thought that this swing path is supposed to promote the barrel being in the zone longer, so then why are we still seeing pop-ups? So Eric's going to talk about that a little bit and why that is.
So the person that asked the question is right. The Nike Swoosh swing, or what Chaz was trying to promote, is the swing that starts down, however, gets on plane early. And that's what we're talking about, is connection and on plane efficiency early and deep in the strike zone, and then staying through the plane of the pitch. It's exactly right. That swing plane promotes staying in the zone or in front of the pitch for a longer period of time. That does not, however, guarantee results or guarantee success. There's still going to be pop-ups, and I believe that's what Chaz was trying to accomplish with this video, is show, hey, just because you're popping up or just because you're rolling over doesn't mean it was a bad swing, right? We can have the best swing in the world, and if I blindfold you, you're not going to hit, right? It doesn't matter how long the barrel's in the zone. There's timing, there's vision, there's balance, there's all other things that happen in the swing that can throw you off. The guy asking the question is right? It does promote you in the zone longer. However, that doesn't guarantee solid contact. There's too many other factors. But if the zone, again, I always say it all the time, every swing swings down and every swing swings up. How long it's up and when it gets up is going to determine how well you're on path. You're never going to see a swing that's only up and actually hit. You're never going to see a swing that's only down and it's going to hit. You'll see some swings that only swing down, usually at a younger age. And I think that's where you can get into some concepts of swinging up earlier. We won't get into all that right now, all the hot topics on hitting Twitter. But the thought process is, if I can stay in the zone or on the path of the pitch for longer, I have a better chance. Again, there's nothing you're going to do in hitting that all of a sudden you snap your fingers and you're a better hitter and you never get out and you never miss hit. That's not a thing. All you're trying to do is improve your odds. As a hitter, we have a certain amount of odds of getting a hit or hitting the ball hard. That's what your batting average is. Just tells you the percentage of time or the chances you have of getting a hit. And so as a hitter, you're just trying to improve your mechanics to improve your chances. You're not ever going to do anything that makes you, the best hitter on the planet or 1,000 for 1,000. You're just trying to improve your odds. You're trying to make your chance of getting a hit better, and that's what swinging on plane allows.
So our first current event of this week is going to be Fernando Tatis Jr. We've all
Shocker.
seen a lot about it.
Shocker. Baseball community talking about Tatis Jr. swinging 3-0. No
Crazy. So I'm sure you all are aware. The Padres were playing the Rangers up, I believe, 7 or 8 in the 8th inning. Tatis comes up, bases loaded, 3-0 count, knocks a grand slam. And the Rangers did not like the fact that he swung at 3-0. And baseball community has gotten around whether these unwritten rules are ridiculous or should he not have swung at 3-0 because that's just the nice, respectful thing to do. I'm going to let Eric talk about it for a little bit.
It was nice to see the baseball community, on Twitter especially, come to a consensus for the first time in history. The first time, everybody agreed. There might have been one or two guys that didn't, but everybody agreed. Especially this year with how weird it is. Bullpens are the way they are. A lot of arms throwing in short periods of time. 7-run lead in 2020 is a lot different than a 7-run lead even in the past 10 years. You see multiple teams have already blown a 7-run lead. And so that's kind of where I come from this is if it's I kind of get the old school thought of this of like it'd be like a football team up 50 and throwing it deep. Well, if you put 9 guys in the box, I bet they'd start passing it. Like a 7-run lead isn't always as safe as the outside might perceive, especially in 2020 with the bullpens. I didn't mind it. The one thing I really mind is the manager calling him out. I think you got to have, especially a young superstar like Tatis, as young as he is and as new as he is, I think you got to have his back there. And I think, again, there's a consensus of that as well. I also understand the manager's relationship with the Rangers, so you also have to protect your back there.
Yeah, for those of you that aren't aware, the Padres manager, the previous 7 or so years has been with the Rangers in various different roles, so he has a lot of connections over there, and I personally don't like the way that he isn't taking his player's side. He's going with his old guys. Like, if your player is going to do something like that, have his back. Like, you got to do that.
Yeah, they both came out with the apology right after, and then later in the week, a couple days ago, Tatis did it again, which I love. If you're going to do it once, you got to do it every time, I guess. Yeah. Another thing that irked me is Tatis came out and said he missed the sign, and then people were like, "No way, he missed the sign." It's like,
he never looked for a sign. Never even looked.
if he truly missed the sign, then what are we talking about? But everybody's trying to say he didn't miss the sign. He did it on purpose. He ignored the sign. Yeah. So, but it was nice to see baseball community come to a consensus. If they're up 15, maybe we got a problem with it. But another good thought that I heard tweeted out is like, if he goes to arbitration, the Padres are going to tell him he didn't hit enough home runs. And then they're telling him not to hit a home run. And it's like, at that point, it becomes a little bit of a financial game, which ignores the unwritten rules a little bit, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you want this guy to do well, and then you're going to tell him, hey, maybe a little less well. Doesn't sit well with me. No. I don't think it sits well with most people. All right, so our second current event in the baseball world is the whole interaction between Mike Trout and Sean Anderson. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of what happened in one game between the Angels and the Giants. Evan Longoria took a shot to the ribs at about 97. It was a pretty tough shot. And later in the game, Sean Anderson, the young pitcher, comes in facing Mike Trout, sails one up and in around his head. A couple pitches later, sails another one in behind his head. And the managers, Joe Madden said, basically, he's just a young kid. Ball got away from him. He shouldn't be doing that, but basically he didn't mean to. Well, then, a game or two later, Sean Anderson comes back and sails one up and in on Mike Trout again. So, the debate is whether or not it was on purpose. I'll let Eric talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, so I think we're going to have our first debate on the show. For one, I don't think it was intentional. You look at a guy like Sean Anderson, he's had 10 innings this year. He's got 10 walks. A guy that's high velocity, sprays it around a little bit. Then you look at a guy like Mike Trout. Like, there's nothing hateable about Mike Trout. Like, there's no reason personality-wise. And I would find it really hard to believe that Sean Anderson is so worried about Mike Trout taking him deep that he tries to hit him in the head 3 separate times. I just don't think that's the case with a professional athlete, with how competitive those guys are. And another thing, the biggest thing to me is, like, if you've looked at Mike Trout's spray charts or hot zones in the strike zone, the only place to get him out is hard and up and in. And so with a high-velocity fastball guy like Sean Anderson, he's only got one shot. Like, if he goes hard up and in, he'll get him out. If not, he gives up the chance to double, triple home run and hurting the ball team. And so, like, he's only got one spot, and he is already erratic, sprays the ball around a little bit. So, yeah, he throws hard. But if he loses it arm side to the spot he's trying to hit, it's going to be around his head. And so he can't back off of that. He can't be scared to hit somebody. This isn't Little League. He's a professional pitcher. This ball's going to get away. Ball's going to get away, especially when you're trying to go up and in of the best hitter in the world. You can't back off. You can't be scared to hit a guy. So he's going to continuously go there. And, again, there's no reason to hit him. The Giants were up 7 runs.
See, and this is where I go back to the unwritten rules that we were talking about with Tatis. Evan Longoria was hit earlier in the game with a hard fastball straight to the ribs. Teams don't like when you pick on one of their best players, when you hit them like that. Retaliation's coming. We all know that pitchers will throw back at the other team's best player. Now, I'm not saying I think somebody asked Sean Anderson to throw at Mike Trout, but he may have just had one get away from him. But I think it was thrown with some intent of, I'm going to throw this up and in, and if it gets away, too bad.
Okay, so if there's one pitch, I'm with you there. Like one, he's not going to do it 3 times in 2 separate games.
Would he? The first one missed. So if I didn't hit him with this first one, we'll try it again. And, if this one hits him, oh well. Like, I think there's no way he has 2 pitches and 1 at bat get away from him that far without at least some intent behind it. He's got to at least be saying, yeah, you know what? If it hits him in the head, it hits him in the head.
There's nowhere else to go but up and into him. If he throws anything other than that, it's got a good chance of leaving the yard. And he's got 10 walks and 3 wild pitches in 10 innings. He doesn't have great command, and he's trying to go to his best shot to get him out. There's no way you try to hit him 3 times.
All right. I think maybe the third one might have been an accident, but I guess we'll agree to disagree on this one. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about what Eric has seen this week. He's going to talk to you about a little bit what's going on lately and what you can expect coming up, and our drill of the week.
Yeah, so I had a good week last week. First week of school back here in Durham, so a little bit of a crazy schedule. Lesson moment of the week, I would have to say, is we had what we consider a fly-in. So one of the coolest parts about working here at Baseball Rebellion is we get clients from all around the country. And last week we had a young client in from Michigan, and he was here for 3 days. He was here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And for me, the coolest thing is to have a young athlete come in who's done some online research and has searched us out and has come down from Michigan or Maryland, wherever he's going to come from, and really dive into a week of training. And so I got to watch a young 13-year-old kid walk in the door on Monday, did his evaluation, did a first movement lesson, and then the coolest part for me is I actually didn't do another lesson with him until Friday afternoon, his actually last lesson. And the reason I say this is the coolest part is we have 5 hitting instructors here at Baseball Rebellion who all teach the same thing. You're getting the same instruction. However, everybody's got their little twist to it. Everybody's got a different way to say it. So I did this young athlete's evaluation on Monday and didn't see him again until his last lesson of Friday, and it looked like a different hitter. You could see different pieces of what Garrett did for him, what JK did for him, what Luke and Chaz did for him. It's interesting to see the evolution of an athlete and of a hitter from beginning to end. And so he got astronomically better and left really, really happy with the development he made. And it was cool for me to see the evaluation, to see the guy walk in, and then to the first swing I saw on Friday almost looked like a different hitter. And it was really, really cool to see. It's something we do, and we're really fortunate to get to do, and it stems from our website traffic and our online use. So it's something I really enjoy. Glad that got to happen last week. Another thing last week, I put out a piece of content covering a split grip drill. And so basically it allows for better direction and better barrel turn for the hitter. And it's a self-explaining drill. My top hand is going to slide up towards the the top of the grip of the bat. And what that's going to do is give your hitter a better feel for the barrel, which is pretty important in hitting, right? The most important 4 inches in hitting is on the barrel. So it allows them to be able to feel the direction of it, feel the bat actually turning and staying square through the zone. So if you haven't yet, check out that video, check out that article. Spent a lot of time on that. And then a drill of the week. So this week's drill of the week, we're actually going to cover flat bats. One of my favorite tools we use here at Baseball Urban come from TJ Hannum, an a hitting coach in the New York Mets organization. He's hooked us up with some custom ones. We love them. We use them in our pre-work. We use them in drill work. You're going to see Garrett walk you through this week's drill of the week.
All right, guys, so we're doing a side toss variation with our custom bond sale flat bats. As you can see, if Luke rolls his top hand over, he's not going to be able to catch the ball flush, okay? The goal here is to keep your extension through the middle of the field without rolling your top hand or pulling your bottom hand down, okay? Really focus on your direction, hitting that ball for more power. So here's a couple more reps. As you can see, if you even dip under a little bit, you're not going to square it up as much. But if you stick it through the middle and keep your hands high, you're going to launch it just like that. So as you can see, this side toss variation is much more difficult. I'm on Luke's pull side, and what this is going to force him to do is keep his direction through the middle. And if he really decides to pull and open up and hit that ball too far out front, he's going to hit me. So the goal here, stop rolling that top hand over, pulling down and across with your bottom hand, and staying right back through the middle. Here's a couple more. One more. Not bad. Try and stop. All right, so this is the hardest variation of the flat bat drill. You've probably seen this before done with regular baseballs or regular softballs. Not the safest decision in my opinion, okay? With the half bat, it's gonna really force you to stay through the middle of the field. And this one right here really helps hitters feel the correct slightly up path to the ball. That's gonna help them crush it. Let's try to stop again, Luke. It's also going to force the hitter to really pull the trigger from their backside, working that upward path again. Let's try and stop one more time. Crush it just like that.
What's up, guys? Today we have a prospect breakdown. We're going to talk about Brady House, a third baseman committed to Tennessee, big physical high school kid from Georgia with a really good swing, so I'm excited to break this down. So one of the things I really like about this video is you're going to see a nice load back, and so I usually don't see a ton of sway back. What I mean by that is the back leg getting past the back foot. You can see his legs stay inside of that point really well, which is going to help him load his back hip and move that forward. He does a great job of loading and moving forward. Now we get to foot plant. The one thing I notice is this front shoulder starting to work out a little bit, which is going to pull him out of his back heel. Again, just something. He's big, physical, he wants to be front side dominant. I don't blame him. This is just one thing to keep an eye on is that front shoulder pulls. We're going to end up dragging the bat a couple times, maybe fillet a ball into right field. So one thing to keep an eye on. Now as he starts rotation, you can see by watching the belt buckle how late and how quickly his core starts to rotate, and he starts to move and rotate from the middle beautifully. Gets into a nice, strong, connected position here, and then actually decelerates his body really well. What I mean by that is if you watch the stripe on his pants, instead of dragging through and continuing to turn and slowing himself down, he does a great job here of slamming on the brakes, stopping his rotation, so all that energy he created in rotation gets into the ball.
And that's it for our first episode of BR Weekly. Thank you all for joining us. Remember, this is going to be every week. You're going to see it Wednesday nights at 7. It's going to be on Facebook, IGTV. We're going to put it on YouTube. You'll be able to watch it. Make sure to leave us any comments, any questions, anything you want to see in future shows. We're open. We'll do whatever. We want to give you what you guys want. So leave us some comments. and we're excited to see you next week.